Welcome to Doctors in the House. My name is Dr. Darrell Hill, your host, and as always, it is a pleasure to be here with you. Today I'm excited to talk about a very important topic that we all need to know quite a bit about. We will be talking about diabetes and pre-diabetes today, and we're going to use a different format today. We're going to use some videos that I've hand-selected from YouTube, which I think can be very educational and will serve to teach important concepts about diabetes and prediabetes. Did you know that close to 90 million people in this country have prediabetes and don't even know it? Another 30 million have diabetes, and we all know about the complications. So today, we're going to stop and just look at what's going on here. And as I've told you before, these videos are more educational and informative. And I refer my patients back to these videos. So you're going to notice in the video a lot of teaching concepts so that people can learn more about these important issues on their own. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and just run through some statistics for you. 84 million people, or 1 in 3 people, adults greater than 20, have pre-diabetes. Pre-diabetes, for those who do not know, is a condition where your sugar levels are too high, but not high enough to say you have diabetes. And unfortunately, these situations will put one at a higher risk of actually developing diabetes unless they make significant changes in their lifestyle. So usually your blood sugar will range upwards from 100 to 125, realizing that under certain conditions, once you hit 126, you begin to meet the criteria, the earliest criteria for a diagnosis of diabetes. You can also have an elevated A1C test, which is a very convenient test. It's a blood test which will give usually a 3-month average of your sugar level. And if that number hits 6.5, you become diagnosed as a diabetic, but upwards of 6.4, you're pretty much meeting criteria for prediabetes. Now, the surprising thing about prediabetes is, guess what? There are no symptoms. And that's the part that's scary. So the reality is we all need to be getting checked at our doctor's offices. And in many cases, we're finding out from a simple blood test. And we had no indication other than maybe we were a little overweight. Maybe we were kind of eating those foods that we probably shouldn't be eating. And we get that blood test and we're in for a surprise. So it's important for us, if we have it, to get it diagnosed. So what are some of the things that put you at risk for this? I think I mentioned a few of them already. For those people who might have had gestational diabetes or diabetes when you were pregnant, that'll put you at risk for prediabetes or diabetes. Also, African Americans, Latinos, being overweight, obese, and if your waist circumference is 40 inches or greater for a man, or 35 inches or greater for a female, these are the things that begin to put you at risk. In addition to knowing, in a sense, what your diet already is. So we have to continue to look closely at our diets, because you're going to hear some examples of some real life situations of people who were able to identify diabetes at a very early age and very early stage to make some simple lifestyle changes. And guess what? I'm not going to use the word reverse, but pretty much turn the clock or reverse their diabetes to some degree. I do want to just mention quickly that a word I think is very important when we talk about diabetes and prediabetes, which I shared yesterday with someone in the office, is euglycemic index. Euglycemic index. This word is very important because it pretty much describes what certain foods or carbohydrates will do as they're broken down into sugar inside of our body. For example, if you eat anything, it's broken down to sugar. And ultimately, some of those foods quickly release sugar while others gradually release sugar. So a glycemic index helps to describe what that really means. And the higher the glycemic index is, it begins to speak to just whether you're in a good situation or bad situation. The lower your glycemic index is, the better for you. For example, white bread, for example, will have a high glycemic index, which means when you eat white bread or potatoes, you eat it, it gets digested, and your sugar levels quickly rise, compared to eating whole wheat or whole food products where you eat them and they have to be broken down and digested, and the amount of sugar content actually is released into your body over a longer period of time, and it gives your body time to react to it. You can imagine beans, for example. Beans are very healthy and have a low glycemic index and don't put you at such a risk for these, I call them explosions of sugar once you eat and try to digest certain foods. You can imagine cakes, candies, a lot of desserts, all of those foods have a high glycemic index, so remember that. And finally, there's an important medication for those people who may have prediabetes, and that's called metformin. Metformin is one of the few medications which can be used for treatment of prediabetes, which can actually help to prevent diabetes. Surprisingly, that same medication is used to treat diabetes, but in this particular case, for a pre-diabetic, taking this medication will help you to actually prevent diabetes. So I wanted to set the stage by kicking us off talking about prediabetes with this information. And what I want to do now is get us set up to switch over to a short video. The first video will be a doctor talking about prediabetes, and then we'll follow that up with a video talking a little bit more about dietary foods that are pretty healthy for pre-diabetics and actually for diabetics too. So Ryan, if you think you're ready, we can either go to a break or we can switch right over. You ready?
Pre-diabetes is when you basically have a high blood sugar, but it's not high enough to be called diabetes. So we know that there's a significant genetic component, a family history when it comes to diabetes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will develop diabetes if you make the right decisions and make the right choices. In fact, the things you do every day has an impact. Diabetes comes from resistance to insulin in some patients, and being obese increases that risk. So when you lose weight, your body's resistance to insulin is less, and you don't have diabetes, or the risk is reduced significantly. The thing that we recommend for patients to do who have a high blood sugar like pre-diabetes is basically to exercise, because that's very important. 30 to 45 minutes every day if you can do it most days of the week. Or you also want to eat right, avoiding the simple carbs. You want to eat more fruits, vegetables, fibers. There are 30 million Americans that have diabetes, but there are almost 90 million that have pre-diabetes. And studies have shown that within 3 to 5 years, if you do have pre-diabetes and you don't do anything, you will develop full-blown diabetes. There's good news because numerous studies have shown that diabetes is totally preventable, and it can be mitigated to a large extent by your daily choices, what you eat, how often you exercise, and maintaining healthy habits. That's a good news.
Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund of IUL, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Iota Epsilon Lambda Chapter presents Golf Open Tournament at the Britton Woods Golf Course, 15700 River Road, Germantown, Maryland, September 6, 2019, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Register on Eventbrite starting August 1st, 2019, 724 foursome. Just $180 for an individual golfer and $75 for an observer. Ask us about our sponsor level and vendor opportunity. Check-in will begin at 10 a.m. with a scramble to start at 12 p.m. All packages include greens, car fees, lunch, and dinner. For more information, email IUL Golf at IUL1906.org. That's IUL Golf at IUL1906.org. Proceeds will support scholarships and the mission of the Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund. It's the Golf Open Tournament at Britton Woods Golf Course, September 6, 2019, from 12 to 6 p.m. Don't miss it.
Tips on having a pre-diabetes diet directly from registered dietitians and expert nutritionists, so you can learn not only how to prevent developing diabetes, but also how to stay at peak health, keep your energy levels up, and overall have a better sense of health and well-being. Okay, so let's get started with some of the best tips that comes directly from a survey of registered dietitians and expert nutritionists. So first of all, here are some of the basic tips that you can follow, which are kind of the golden rules for establishing your pre-diabetes diet. Number one, you've got to skip the sugary drinks. So whatever drinks have a lot of sugar in them, whether it's sweet tea or juice or soda or even sweetened lemonade, then it's better to avoid it. Likewise with really sugary coffee drinks or mochas and lattes. And this tip is basically going to help you avoid not only empty calories, but also prevent your blood sugar from spiking really rapidly. Because the more often you have empty calories, and especially in the form of sugary drinks, the greater the risk factor there is for obesity and for diabetes as well. The second tip is to simply cut back on portions. Eating excessive calories, whether they are processed carbohydrates or any other type of nutrient, when you eat excessive calories, your body's going to go ahead and try to store the excess calories as fat. And being overweight is a real risk factor for diabetes. So just cutting back on portions and saving your desserts for special occasions can go a long way in helping you manage and stay healthy during your pre-diabetes phase. The third tip is to go ahead and consume enough fiber. So high fiber foods, different types of vegetables and fruits and beans, and even whole grains can not only help you feel fuller longer, but it can help you eat less and control your appetite for reduced weight gain. So make sure that you're eating foods that are high in fiber so you can manage your diet well. The next tip is to go ahead and make sure to take a look at what type of fats you're consuming. The healthy types of fats would come from things like olive oil, from nuts, from seeds, from avocado, and for dairy products, if you do have prediabetes, then it may be a good idea to also opt for the lower fat dairy options to go ahead and reduce your fat consumption, or at the very least be choosy about the fats that you're consuming. The next tip is to go ahead and eliminate alcohol, or at the very least to moderate it as much as possible, which will help you control your prediabetes. The next tip is to go ahead and choose meats that are leaner. So again, weight gain and excessive calorie consumption puts you at a high risk for diabetes. And on the other side, reducing your calories can help you prevent diabetes. And one of the easiest ways to reduce calories is to choose leaner meats. So you want to look for cuts of meat that have round or loin in their name. And when you do get raw meat, make sure to trim the visible fat that's on it. Of course, white meat such as chicken or turkey without the skin are also great options. And fish typically has lower fat than some of the red meats that are available as well. And of course, don't fry it. If you fry a particular meat or eat fried foods in general, you're increasing your fat consumption by many times over. And the final tip is to go ahead and stay hydrated. When you drink plenty of water, aside from feeling great, it can also help you control hunger, suppress your appetite, because a lot of times people actually mistake thirst for hunger. So by drinking enough water, you'll feel better, and it's going to help you lower your blood sugar, as well as helping you control your appetite as well. So those are some of the basic tips for controlling or managing your prediabetes through diet. Now I just want to give you a couple of specific tips on controlling or having a great prediabetes diet. And again, this is coming directly from registered dietitians and from expert nutritionists. So the first specific tip that I want to give you is to keep an eye on the glycemic index. Now, the glycemic index is basically the number or the tool that shows you the relationship between carbohydrates and peaks in blood sugar. So the lower the glycemic index, the less blood sugar spike you're going to have by consuming that food. So for example, a food with an index above 70 is high. Medium glycemic index would be between 56 and 69, and low would be 55 or less. So high GI foods, those with an index of 70 or above, the ones that can spike your blood sugar the quickest would be quick digesting carbs such as white bread, russet potatoes, white rice. And if you have prediabetes, then it's a good idea to limit those foods. And then medium GI foods, which are between 56 and 69 or 55 and lower, would be best for controlling blood sugar, and that would include things like steel cut oats, stone ground whole wheat bread, carrots and field greens, beans, sweet potatoes, and whole wheat pasta, for example. And in general, according to registered dietitians and based on research studies, whole grains, especially people who consume 3 servings of whole grains or more a day, are about a third less likely to develop type 2 diabetes than those who consume 3 servings a week. So if you're consuming 3 servings a day of whole grains, you actually lower your risk of developing diabetes. And again, whole grain meaning as minimally refined or not refined as much as possible. All right, so those are some basic tips to help you get started. But if you want to completely reverse your prediabetes and the symptoms associated with it, and at the same time accelerate your weight loss and improve your health in the process, then go ahead and click the link in the description box below this video, and you're going to learn some powerful strategies based on advanced research that's going to...
You are listening to Doctors in the House. I am Dr. Daryl Hill. Welcome back to the show. I hope you all really enjoyed that video. Every time I watch it, I learn something new. We heard about glycemic index. We heard a lot of dietary recommendations. And I hope for those of you especially who are hearing this for the first time, we have a chance to incorporate this into our lives going forward, because it can make a difference. So again, I'm Dr. Daryl Hill. I am with Laurel Medical Associates. If you have any questions, concerns, I can be reached at 301-497-0401, and on the web, laurelmedicine.com. That's laurelmedicine.com. So we've been talking about prediabetes and just how common it is. We've talked especially about how most people don't know they have it. You don't know unless you get checked. And we really talked about beginning to make changes in our diet. And what I want to do now is just remind people, if you need help with a dietitian, your doctor can do that. If you need help finding ways to exercise between your gym, your friends, and just beginning to walk and experience your parks in your neighborhood, these are quick ways to begin to change your lifestyles, which we know are really important. So I'm going to just talk briefly about a recent patient I saw in the office and his pre-diabetes experience. And then we're going to move on to talking a little bit more about diabetes and some of the things we can do to diagnose it, prevent it, and then to, of course, avoid complications. So I'm going to tell you a little story, recent story about a patient. I'd say he was a 49-year-old gentleman, pretty much healthy, on no medications, just enjoying life. And like the video, we went ahead and got some lab work on him, and we were surprised to find out his A1C was up to 6.4. 6.4, and I actually have a similar other patient with the same number, 6.4. And if you recall, that number means once you get to 6.5, you're pretty much a diabetic. So the question is, what do we do? So with this particular gentleman who really had no other medical history and admitted that he wasn't watching his diet, he wasn't exercising, we pretty much, first of all, let him know where he stood with things, and then we implemented a lifestyle strategy which included exercising and dieting, and he was home watching his sugars. And what he was able to see is how his numbers improved greatly by simply making changes in his diet. So and when he came back, I also reminded him of the one medication that can help treat this condition, which is metformin. We went over the side effects. We talked about the benefits of what the medicine can do for you, which in his case, it's been proving to prevent diabetes from developing and can potentially help with weight loss. So we put him on that medication, and I'll be seeing him back in about 4 weeks. But so far, I'm going to call this a success story because nobody wants to get diabetes. And from my experience, you talk to people, it's pretty frightening. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about diabetes now. And as many of you know, diabetes can come in two varieties, type 1 and type 2. Type 2, of course, is the most common, tends to be associated with a sedentary lifestyle, maybe being overweight, largely related to your diet as well, compared to type 1, where you can get that younger and require insulin. This particular type 2 type of diabetes, you can in many times improve it just with your lifestyle, along with making changes in your diet and maybe even taking pills too. So just to give you some statistics on diabetes, over 30 million people in the United States have diabetes. 1.5 million people are diagnosed every year, or one person every 21 seconds. 7.2 million Americans have undiagnosed diabetes. So what that means is many people are walking around with full-blown diabetes and don't even know it yet. And I've diagnosed many of those situations in my office. Just one more reason why we got to make sure we're getting checked out. 12 million people, or 1 in 4 adults over the age of 65, also have diabetes. So what we're saying here is as you get older, the risk of diabetes also increases. As many of you may know, African Americans and Hispanics, we have over a 50% more chance of getting diabetes than a Caucasian person. 13% of black adults have diabetes. Yeah, diabetes is a very expensive condition. It cost our country $327 billion back in 2017. And of course, we know complications happen. Amputations, kidneys, cardiovascular disease, a variety of issues take place. And what we find is that about 85% of people with diabetes are overweight or obese. So we're talking about diabetes. We're going to have a few more videos to talk about. I do want to just say to you that when we see diabetic patients in the office, a major thing we're trying to avoid are complications. So when you're going in that office, the doctor's making sure if you're taking medications, you're doing okay with them. We're making sure you're hopefully exercising and watching your diet. And many of you may know if you are diabetic, we're sending you to the eye doctor. And when appropriate, we're making sure you're seeing a podiatrist too, because complications, be it your eyes, diabetes is a leading cause of blindness, be it the circulatory issues. That's why you notice a lot of diabetics are taking a cholesterol medication. Many of them are taking aspirins. And all of these things are there to prevent those long-term complications. And you may have heard of something called diabetic neuropathy. That's when the nerves become affected and you get numbness and tingling in your feet and your hands, and what we call a stocking and glove distribution, hands and feet, numbness, tingling, burning, and for some it could be a very significant finding. So, and I think I mentioned the kidney issue too. We do our best to make sure your blood pressure is being monitored and managed, and some of the medications you take are specifically geared to help protect your kidneys too. So what I want to do now is go ahead and get us queued up for our next video. So we'll probably go to a quick commercial break. We'll come back. You're going to hear about a gentleman what his experiences were like when he was diagnosed with prediabetes, diabetes, and we'll continue the process of learning more about this very important condition. Stay tuned.
Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund of IUL, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Iota Epsilon Lambda Chapter presents Golf Open Tournament at the Britton Woods Golf Course, 15700 River Road, Germantown, Maryland, September 6, 2019, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Register on Eventbrite starting August 1st, 2019, 724 foursome. Just $180 for individual golf and $75 for an observer. Ask us about our sponsor level and vendor opportunity. Check-in will begin at 10 a.m. with a scramble to start at 12 p.m. All packages include greens, car fees, lunch, and dinner. For more information, email IULgolf@IUL1906.org. That's IULgolf@IUL1906.org. Proceeds will support scholarships and the mission of the Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund. It's the Golf Open Tournament at Britton Woods Golf Course, September 6, 2019, from 12 to 6 p.m. Don't miss it.
My name is Michael Jones. I'm a retired police officer. For the last 4.5 years, I've just been traveling and hanging loose. Well, when I was working at NYPD, it was very busy. You don't take care of yourself like you should. You know, you would just eat whatever you could eat, whatever fast food, junk food in the vending machines. The only thing I knew about diabetes is that both my parents had it. My mother got it in her late 50s and my father got it in his early 60s. I never thought about it. I just thought, you know, I'm young. I thought I was healthy. I was going to the doctor maybe once a year, and in the blood work, they test you for everything. It was a wake-up call, literally. I was asleep one day, the phone woke me up, and he made me aware that I had prediabetes. I immediately thought about my parents, watching my parents take needles every day, and I just said to myself, I couldn't do it.
So Michael, you have peanut butter. What is the serving size for the peanut butter?
The counselors in the program showed me that this was in reach for me to prevent. And they showed me the right things to eat. They showed me the right things to incorporate in my life.
Michael absorbed the whole program. And once you do that, you know, you can see the results.
Well, we meet once a week, and we talk about what we do in our lives and what changes we've made. It gives you a sense of, you know, camaraderie. You learn something new every time you go there. Basically, I just started shopping better. I cook my own food, baked chicken, grilled chicken, boiled potatoes, steamed broccoli. I make smoothies, a lot of fruits, vegetables, not too much red meat, chicken and turkey. You know, you can use what's around you. I do calisthenics right here in my living room. Or I'll just go outside and run around the park. Well, the motivation
motivation for me is, to watch my children grow and be here for them. And that starts with taking care of myself, my body. It may sound kind of dramatic, but it's like I'm running for my life. The results of my blood work for my A1C test are now close to normal. You really can reverse pre-diabetes. I'm proud to see how far I've come. I feel better, I feel stronger. I have a whole new life ahead of me. I plan to do a lot more traveling, try to hit every continent, and just live life to the fullest.
Okay, we are back in the house. Doctors in the house. My name is Dr. Darrell Hill, as mentioned earlier, and we are talking about diabetes. I hope you all enjoyed that video. We are going to have maybe one, if not two more videos, but I think we're beginning to see a common theme here that pre-diabetes, diabetes can be defeated. It is common, but it will require us to make some decisions. And in my office, I'm very clear. I would love to say to everybody, be 100% perfect when it comes to your diet. The reality is that's very difficult. At a minimum, I think we have to eat in moderation. We can't do certain things, I say, that we know are bad. We can't do them all the time. And when we do them, we can't do them in such a large quantity that it really gets us in trouble. So just remember to eat in moderation. If there's something bad, be it fried foods, alcohol, or a dessert you like, think about doing it less frequently and in a small serving size. One of the things we haven't really talked too much about is your family history. We cannot forget about our family history. Our mothers, our fathers, our siblings especially, a lot of times what we see happening with them and our grandparents are putting us at risk for certain things, be it the genetics or be it the lifestyle that we all share and have adopted. So make sure you're getting the right test, make sure you know your history, and make sure when you see your doctor, you're sharing that with them because they can begin to put in a prevention plan to help you. And I say that because I'm no different than everybody else, and I think about my family history, and there are certain things that pop up, and I know I need to be on the lookout for as well. So we're all in this together. I hope we're learning together. And, we're getting towards the end of the show. I know we got started a little bit late today, but we are getting toward the end. So one of the things we're going to do is take another look at another video, and we'll begin to wrap up the show. We've learned a lot. We've talked about a lot. But again, my name is Dr. Darrell Hill. I'm with Laurel Medical Associates, 301-497-0401. And today it's all about diabetes and your health. So we're going to go ahead to a commercial break and get the video queued up.
Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund of IUL, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Iota Epsilon Lambda Chapter presents Golf Open Tournament at the Britton Woods Golf Course, 15700 River Road, Germantown, Maryland, September 6, 2019, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Register on Eventbrite starting August 1st, 2019, 724 foursome. Just $180 for individual golf and $75 for an observer. Ask us about our sponsor level and vendor opportunity. Check-in will begin at 10 a.m. with a scramble to start at 12 p.m. All packages include greens, cart fees, lunch, and dinner. For more information, email IUL Golf at IUL1906.org. That's IUL Golf at IUL1906.org. Proceeds will support scholarships and the mission of the Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund. It's the Golf Open Tournament at Britton Woods Golf Course, September 6, 2019, from 12 to 6 p.m. Don't miss it.
I had heard from so many sources that people with diabetes could not or should not exercise. I had discussed that with my doctor, and he said that's a bunch of nonsense.
I think in order to conquer diabetes, you're going to have to exercise. The only way you're really going to get that A1C count down is to move around. You have to move when you got diabetes.
I don't like to exercise, but what I've discovered when I exercise, I feel better, and it's very good for you, and it helps keep your numbers down in terms of your glucose levels.
Found out that it really does make a difference, diet and exercise. I used to wonder why they used to emphasize that, and then I stopped eating as much as I used to, and I didn't lose the weight that I thought I would lose by just not eating. So then I started exercising, and I noticed that my weight did come down, and I did feel better. So exercise with the diet does make a difference.
Hello, I'm Dr. Regina Benjamin, United States Surgeon General. Welcome to this program on physical activity for people with type 2 diabetes. Along with diet, medication, and testing your blood sugar, exercise is crucial to managing your glucose. In fact, it's just as important as the pills or the insulin you take.
People with diabetes often have to take multiple medicines to control their blood sugar, their blood pressure, their blood cholesterol, and that can be very inconvenient. And some doctors have talked about a polypill, where all of those medicines would be rolled into one pill, taken once a day, and make it easier for the patient. But if you think about it, exercise is the ideal polypill because it helps to lower the sugar, the cholesterol, and the blood pressure. And if people were more active, it's very possible that they can reduce the real pills they have to take or perhaps even eliminate them altogether.
If you have type 2 diabetes, exercise can help you in a number of ways. Blood sugar, also known as glucose, is a primary fuel for muscles as they do their work. Physical activity helps the muscles use the glucose instead of letting it build up in the blood. Lowering blood sugar improves your heart health and protects your eyes, your feet, your nerves, and your kidneys.
Physical activity keeps your joints and bones healthier and helps control your blood pressure, cholesterol, and weight. It also makes you feel better and improves your quality of life.
Now that I am maintaining an exercise regimen, I'm not as tired as I used to be.
I'm moving more and I have more energy, and I'm not coming home in the evening falling asleep on the bed.
I began to notice that I could sleep better at night. In fact, I needed a little bit less sleep.
I found that since I've exercised, my blood sugars are lower and my insulin usage is down. And I think that's a good thing, you know.
People who should be screened before starting an exercise program who have diabetes are those who are over the age of 40 and have at least 2 cardiovascular disease risk factors like high blood pressure or high cholesterol, and people who have a family history of premature heart disease. It's important to tell your doctor when you're about to start an exercise program because they may need to make adjustments in your medications. It may also be necessary for them to make adjustments in your meal plan.
It's important to have realistic expectations about activity so you can be most successful. Keep in mind, if you haven't exercised for many, many years, you're not going to become fit overnight or even weeks. It may take several months. So it's important to start slowly, build up over time. Although we set a goal of 30 to 40 minutes a day, the first week you might only be able to do 10 minutes.
When I started exercising on the elliptical machine, I could only do about 2 minutes. At this point, I can do 20, which is good because it took a while. Because the first day I was thinking, I'm going to die on this machine because, you know, I'm exercising and I'm out of breath and my legs are hurting.
You can break it up into shorter periods of time. For example, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunchtime, 10 minutes in the afternoon. And then over time, over weeks and months, try to consolidate that so you can go for 30 minutes, 40 minutes nonstop.
Gradually, as the weeks went on, then I was doing 5 minutes, and then I challenged myself to do maybe 7 minutes, and then challenge was 10 minutes. And so after a while, I was doing 20.
You know, I started out with step aerobics because it didn't look that hard to me. But once I got into it, I found out it was really hard. But it's something I had to just continue to do. And after a while, I just thought of it pretty much as dancing. You know, I learned to like it.
So it's important to find a form of exercise that you enjoy and so that you can do it consistently, because you'll be more likely to stick to your routine. And exercise, even if you aren't losing weight, is still beneficial for several reasons. It helps to relieve stress, it helps to lower your blood pressure and cholesterol, and it also helps your body to use your diabetes medications better.
Although it's important to choose an activity that's fun, you also need to make sure that the exercise does not harm your health. There are several ways you can keep yourself safe while exercising. Exercise with someone who knows you have diabetes and knows what to do if you have a low blood sugar reaction. Wear a medical ID bracelet that says you have diabetes. Test your blood sugar often so you know how your body reacts to exercise.
There are 3 different types of physical activity, and they each benefit your body in different ways. Aerobic exercise benefits your heart and lungs. Resistance exercise, also called strength training, builds muscles and increases endurance. And flexibility exercises increase your range of motion. Let's start with aerobic exercise.
There are exercises during which you carry your body weight on your feet, like running or walking, and other types of exercise like swimming or bicycling, during which your body weight is supported by water or a machine. Both approaches give you the same healthy benefits. They burn calories, improve your heart and circulation, reduce body fat, and improve your muscles' ability to use blood sugar more efficiently.
If you have problems with pain or numbness in your feet, you should consider doing exercises like swimming or bicycling rather than walking or running. Because you're not carrying your weight, these activities are more gentle on your feet and on your joints. Let's look at resistance training, which uses your muscles to generate force. For example, lifting weights or household objects such as cans of soup or bottles of water are a form of resistance training.
Resistance training burns calories, reduces body fat, and increases your metabolism, muscle strength, bone density, and the body's ability to use insulin and burn sugar. To find the right starting weight for you, find something you can lift 12 or 15 times without getting tired. Once 15 lifts become easy, you can go from a half gallon of something to a gallon. Or if you're lifting weights, you can increase the weight by 5 or 10 pounds. No matter what you're lifting, make sure you breathe freely and try not to hold your breath.
Though aerobic exercise should be done more frequently, 3 to 5 times a week, resistance exercise should be done at least twice a week.
If you have an amputation and you're in a wheelchair, you can do some of the same exercises in the wheelchair that you would do in a regular chair. So upper body exercises will still improve your overall health as well as increase your wheelchair mobility.
In addition to aerobics and resistance training, you should also do some flexibility or stretching exercises. Yoga and Tai Chi help maintain balance, and many community centers and gyms offer classes. You can also do this at home.
Stretching keeps the joints healthy. You can use stretching as a warm-up and cool-down for 5 to 10 minutes before and after any type of physical activity.
So stretches can be done almost anywhere, and what a stretch does is move the joint through what we call a range of motion. So the goal is to stretch as long as you can to really flex those joints. And another key factor is to do it slowly. You don't want to bounce, because the bouncing and a sudden jerking action can actually lead to injury, where stretching really is designed to help avoid injury and soreness.
If you have diabetes, there are several other things to think about when you start becoming physically active. Don't ignore pain. Stop if something hurts. Otherwise, you may cause stress or damage to your joints. Examine your feet regularly. With diabetes, you may not feel pain and won't know if you have an injury, like a blister or an ulcer. Drink water before, during, and after exercise so you don't get dehydrated. Have some type of carbohydrate food available, like hard candy or crackers, in case your blood sugar drops. Physical activity can sometimes cause low blood sugar, especially if you don't carefully time your meals, medications, and exercise schedule.
I usually carry either bananas, cracker, or something with me and a bottle of water to help keep my blood sugar levels normal so I don't have a drop. It's important for me to keep mine up because I know once it starts to drop, I start to feel lightheaded.
If you have diabetes and you're exercising, you should be aware of developing blurred vision, confusion, sweatiness that's more than what you would normally have with exercise, or feeling excessively hungry or shaky, those could all be signs of a low blood sugar, also called hypoglycemia. So if those symptoms occur, you should eat something with simple sugar in it, such as a graham cracker, or drink a drink with simple sugar, such as orange juice.
Ooh, that's nice.
It's important to get specific shoes for exercise because it can help to prevent injury by protecting your feet, your knees, and your hips. And also they provide the appropriate cushioning that you need, which is very different than your everyday sneakers. So it's important to go to a sporting goods store to be specifically fitted for the correct walking and exercise shoes. Check your feet daily when you have diabetes because you may have developed an injury or a lesion, particularly if you have something called neuropathy, where you have nerve damage from diabetes and don't feel when your feet are injured. So the things specifically that you should talk to your doctor about are new cuts or bruises, calluses, redness or swelling, or anything else in your feet that's of concern to you.
It's also helpful to set aside a certain time each week to exercise. For example, if you plan to exercise every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, mark those days on your calendar so you make a real commitment to yourself.
You want to make exercise a habit so it becomes part of your lifestyle routine. In other words, something you do regularly every week. The benefits of exercise are actually fairly short-lived. So if you go out and take a walk, you'll lower your blood sugar, but after a couple of days, it'll go right back up. So it's important to do the exercise on a regular basis so that the benefits are always there.
The best approach to controlling diabetes and preventing its complications are to take all of your medications as your doctor directs, and also to engage in aerobic as well as resistance training as a form of exercise. This not only helps to improve blood sugar, but also lowers blood pressure and blood cholesterol. And it's important to try to do at least some form of exercise every other day.
You don't have to belong to a gym to get the benefits of exercise. You can do little things throughout the day to increase your physical activity. Going up and down stairs is great exercise. Stand up and walk around the house while you're talking on the telephone. Some people find it's more fun and helpful to do it with a partner. The two of you can motivate and encourage each other to stick with whatever type of physical activity you want to do.
I find that exercise, once you make it a part of your regimen, it actually becomes easier. Not only that, it becomes fun.
The more I do it, the more I enjoy it. I really do. So if I don't do it 3 times a week, I really miss it.
Worry about what you're going to do this week and what you're going to do next week. And start with the little steps, and the big steps will take care of themselves in the future.
My waist has gotten a little smaller, but it's still not to the point where I feel comfortable. I have a long ways to go. But I haven't given up, you know. I think I can pull this one off.
Before you know it, it's just an everyday practice. It's like breathing out and breathing in. Just something you do.
We hope this program helps you decide to move. Be sure to talk to your own doctor or clinician if you have any questions or concerns about starting to become physically active. Good luck and good health, and have fun.
Well, there you have it. Diabetes, pre-diabetes. I think that video said it all. So I'm going to leave here and just run over to the gym. Just kidding. I hope we all had a chance to really stop and dig a little deeper into diabetes and how we can prevent it, how we can treat it, and more importantly, how we can prevent complications. We are wrapping things up now. I'm going to share a few things with you before I let you go. I've been talking a lot about a couple of patients, one in particular this past week at the office. Patient no more than 35 years old. We checked some lab work on him, and surprisingly it showed sugar of 400, which meant he clearly had diabetes. And we talked about a plan, put him on a medication, and by the time he was seen again, guess what? He told me he wasn't taking the medication. And he later told me he knew why his sugars were high, and that's why he wasn't taking it. And as a result of changing his diet, his sugars went from the 400 range really back down to normal. And for the past month or two, he's been able to really maintain those really good numbers. And it's just a clear evidence of how changing your diet can make a big difference for you. So I want to continue to encourage people to really look at our diets and make those kind of decisions. I'll admit we've had some stories in the office which weren't as nice and friendly with respect to the outcomes. We've had those people whose sugars have continued to stay high and who have developed complications. As much as we don't want complications, they do happen. Very important when you're getting your labs done, if you are a diabetic, that hemoglobin A1C test. Probably the most important test, so I do want to mention that. If that test is not 7 or below in most cases, of course you want to check with your doctor about your specific situation, but 7 is usually the goal range to have that number below. As you begin to get up above 8 and then into your 9 range, that begins to fall into the category of not being controlled. And the more it's not controlled, the more we put ourselves at risk for complications. So I want to remind people, when you're going to the doctor, if you have this condition, make sure you know your A1C. You got to know your A1C. You want to know your cholesterol numbers. You want to know your blood pressure. And as much as we may not want medications, we don't want complications either. So remember, the medications are there to help you. They're there to help you have hopefully a more quality of life as you get older, so you can be there for that grandchild, be there for that graduation, be there for that wedding. So diabetes is a condition that never goes away. So the changes we're talking about today are changes we really have to make forever. We have to get comfortable with that word, forever. So again, my name is Dr. Darrell Hill. I'm with Laurel Medical Associates. 301-497-0401. I can be reached on the web at laurelmedicine.com. And I want to remind you all that you are listening and watching Doctors in the House. We're here every week, and our goal is to bring you content, health information that helps to keep you healthy, helps to prevent problems, helps to minimize your medications. But if there is a medication out there that can help your situation, I want to remind you of that. So as I wrap up, let me just add aspirin, cholesterol medications, certain blood pressure medicines called ACE inhibitors. All of those are very important. ACE inhibitors are the preferred medication to treat blood pressure and protect kidneys. But I'm very clear with patients. There are 3 things you got to watch out for with ACE inhibitors. Number 1, your kidney function has to be monitored. Number 2, you want to watch out for a rare condition where a cough can develop. It's a pretty unique cough. And then number 3, and I tell people this is going to scare you a little bit, you can get some head and neck swelling. It's a pretty rare condition, but people need to know that, because if it happens, simply stopping the medication will make that condition get better. And again, it's very important in preventing kidney function. So for all of you out there, I hope you learned something. If you need to reach me, feel free to reach me at the office, 301-497-0401, 301-497-0401. And hope to see you. Hope you tune in the future for other important health topics. Until next time.
Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund of IUL. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Iota Epsilon Lambda Chapter presents Golf Open Tournament at the Britton Woods Golf Course, 15700 River Road, Germantown, Maryland, September 6, 2019, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Register on Eventbrite starting August 1st, 2019. 724 foursome. Just $180 for individual golf and $75 for an observer. Ask us about our sponsor level and vendor opportunity. Check-in will begin at 10 a.m. with a scramble to start at 12 p.m. All packages include greens, cart fees, lunch, and dinner. For more information, email IULgolf@IUL1906.org. That's IULgolf@IUL1906.org. Proceeds will support scholarships and the mission of the Alpha Scholarship Endowment Fund. It's the Golf Open Tournament at Britton Woods Golf Course, September 6, 2019, from 12 to 6 p.m. Don't miss it.